this is Marie Page from the Digitarati. What I'm going to teach you about today is best practice on Facebook cover images. I'm particularly keen to do this because so many brands get it wrong, and I'm afraid I'm going to name and shame a few today. There's a couple of examples up there, Costa Coffee and Facebook Newswire. Just not really doing a cover image that's working terribly well on mobile because the text is truncating either by being cut off on the right hand side or where the little cover, your profile picture is cutting across the top of the text. So I'm going to show you some examples of brands that aren't doing this terribly well, and also give you some guidelines as to how you can do it well yourself. There will be some size specifications as well. The other thing I particularly want to bring to your attention is that the ideal cover image size has changed. Facebook's been playing with it for a few weeks. It's rolled out a change very quietly. There's been no formal announcement that I've found, but the old 851 pixel size is no longer what you want. It's now 828. So I'll explain all of that shortly. Let's firstly get on to looking at how some brands are getting it wrong. Here's a client of ours before we trained them, and they were a very nice little cover image and some text on it, just far too much out to the top corners and the edges. So it's not only truncating on desktop, but it's truncating really, really badly on mobile. So that needs to be tweaked. Here's a couple of really poor examples. Unfortunately, this is kind of within the not-for-profit sector. First of all, just look at the profile pictures. On the Smoke-Free West Sussex one, I really think you want something that's much more about the brand here. You either want a close-up of a product or a logo, or if your brand is you as an individual, then maybe a close-up of your face. On Get Active Hounslow, I have no idea what is going on here. I think it's a timetable of some description. As a profile picture, no one can see it. It's bad enough on desktop, let alone on mobile. Sort it out, guys. And then, of course, the main profile, the main page image that each are using. Well, the West Sussex one, I think, has just not been uploaded remotely within the right dimensions. That needs to be 828 pixels to avoid all of this text being chopped off. And Get Active Hounslow, I think that's working okay on desktop. It's just obviously truncating rather nastily on mobile. Now, Leverton and Sons, I came across this the other day. Their social media person, their comms person, is a fan of the Digitarati, and they contacted us for a bit of advice on something. And I happened to be looking at their Facebook page, and I thought, oh, that's a lovely picture to use for the service that you do. And actually, I quite like the fact that you've got people in this profile pic. I think it's probably that you need to have more of a close-up. That might be a better image somewhere else, but you know, the main cover image that they're using here is fine. This text just needs to shoosh across a little bit towards the right to avoid this truncation issue that you're finding on mobile. Here's Costa again. Oh my word, it's a beautiful picture, isn't it? Just showcasing the Great British Toasty. Looks absolutely gorgeous on desktop, which is of course where the designer that was working on it would have prepared it. But look at what happens on mobile. You've got this word toasty is being covered by the profile shot. So again, it needs a little bit of work. It just shows how designers, unless you brief them and unless you tell them to check, and you check yourself as a social media manager, you'll merrily upload it to desktop. That's where you'll be checking it. But most of your customers are looking at it on mobile because that's what we look at Facebook for. Okay, Pink Boutique. Now, we love Pink Boutique at the Digitarati. We think they're doing some awesome things on social. Their Snapchat feed in particular is very, very good. I'm not convinced about what they're doing on Facebook. I've actually grabbed some stuff of some incorrect targeting of theirs, which I'm going to show in a future broadcast. But for now, let's look at what's going on here that's wrong. Well, again, it's a copy issue. This text is right in the middle, but it needed to stop just under the bunny word in order that on mobile, where Facebook surfaces their brand name, it doesn't end up going across the top. And the other thing I would say here is that the profile pic is just, there's too much text that's too small. kind of white on a pink background. It's just not really working. You're not going to be able to see that very well on mobile. So, I think if you want to draw attention to the sale, that's fine, but don't have quite so much copy on here. Just think about where people are seeing this, how it's going to surface. Here's another one that really should know better. This is Tabsite. Now, Tabsite are all over Facebook. They're great. They do some really, really good stuff. So why they've got this so wrong on mobile, I do not know. Yes, there's a lot of text they're trying to put in, but I often create Facebook pages that have plenty of text, and I manage to do it so it doesn't look like a dog's breakfast on mobile. So I'm going to show you how shortly. Let's look at another one. This is the FB Newswire community. It's not bad. This text needs to come across a little bit to the right so it doesn't cut off, doesn't truncate on mobile. Now, Amy Porterfield, I have a lot of respect for Amy. She does some great coaching and mentoring and has all sorts of bits and pieces to do with social media and Facebook. She knows her stuff, so I'm quite surprised that her very, very nice cover image that obviously shows her face as a brand is just not working on mobile. And a few little tweaks here would make this work so much better. And then the final example I want to give you is from the BBC London site. Now, there's no text on here, so there's not a problem with truncation. It's just to do with the framing, really. It's looking okay on desktop. The newsreader is more or less central in the studio, but when we get across to mobile, you see that it just looks like a picture that's not been properly centered. So I think you need to retake that picture, move the news presenter much further across to the right hand side, and then it'll look much nicer. So this is what you need to do. This is how you use text on a cover image without truncation or overlay. Now, I first of all want to just give a hat tip to Hubris. He runs Social Media Masterminds, and it was Hugh that first alerted me to the new cover image size. So the cover images used to be 851 by 315 pixels. Facebook has very quietly made a change, and it's now 828 by 315 pixels. So the first thing you need to do, even if you've not got any image on your Facebook cover image, any text on your Facebook cover image, make sure that you jig this to 828 wide, and like that you won't get any fuzziness or bitmapping going on. So that's job number one. Job number two, if you have text on it, is to make sure you are using the safe area for text. It's very frustrating that Facebook doesn't have a different kind of upload for mobile as it does for desktop, but it doesn't, so we have to work within it. So I've mocked up how where the safe areas kind of are with some pixel ideas here, and you can see how that surfaces on this dummy site that we've created, London Housing for Students. You can go and have a look at it. It was something that we created for a client. So let me walk you through what's going on here. So the overall image, this rectangle here, is 828 by 315 pixels. You need to leave clear 133 pixels in the left and the right hand side where you do not have any text on at all, because that is going to give you problems when you hit mobile. You'll see that I've done this blue area here, which is where I'm saying just avoid this, because that's where the profile pic will surface. And you see how even this sort of moves around between desktop and mobile. So on desktop, the profile picture is at the top of the blue box. On mobile, it's within the top, but it's right over to the right hand side. So that's a sort of an area that is not safe for text. So this grey box here, the central safe area, is 526 wide by 250 pixels deep. Okay, so that's the depth, 250 by 562 wide, and you need to be aware of where that blue box is sitting. All right, now you show this to your designer and get them to put text within that sort of central area, obviously avoiding this bottom left hand sort of square. And once it's done, just pop it up and test it and see what it looks like. Maybe create a dummy page to do this testing on, so you're not surfacing that, oh, this brand has changed their cover image message for your fans. So test it, see how it looks, and then make it go live if you'd like. I hope you found that really, really useful. I think it's something you need to check on a fairly regular basis, because Facebook does change it fairly often. And the main lesson here is just check how it looks on mobile. That goes for ads as well as your cover image, as well as anything else that you're doing on Facebook. Make sure it looks good on mobile. Plenty more on our Facebook page, that's Team Digitarati, and of course on our website, thedigitarati.com. It would be great if you could follow us, and we will be bringing you more and more in due course. Thanks very much.